everybody, and welcome to Unit 13, Lesson 1, an Introduction to Vegas. My name is Dina, and I will be teaching you about how to find your way around a brand new program for the first time, where the essentials are, and your basic tool set. For these lessons, we're going to be using Vegas Pro 18 by Magix, which is only one out of many video editing softwares. You may have already heard of Final Cut Pro or Adobe Premiere. These are very well-known softwares that are often used for professional projects. However, they require much more time to learn and can be very expensive. So, without further ado, let's jump right in. For this first lesson, we will be looking at the user interface. The term user interface, or UI for short, is the layout of the application and the way that users, in this case you, and the software interact. Each program will usually have their own user interface, and it can differ wildly from each other, while still keeping the necessities. For example, Final Cut Pro has its own different set of keyboard shortcuts, layouts, and flow of editing when compared to Vegas. The same can be said for Adobe Premiere, which means learning each separate program will be a new experience and will take some time. However, that being said, all video editing softwares let you, edit video. So the basics will always be there, all the functions will be available, just dressed up in different icons or hidden inside of different toolbars. Once you learn how to edit videos, no matter what software you use, you can take that skill with you anywhere, forever. For now, we're going to take a look at where your basic windows are in Vegas 18 and what each of them do. These right here are your three main windows that you will be using when editing videos. Here in the upper right corner is the preview window. This window is used to preview what your video looks like in the program without having to render it into a separate video file. Don't worry about rendering right now. We will touch more on rendering in Unit 18. So the preview window also includes a built-in trimmer tool for trimming your raw footage in closer detail. Vegas's default layout will also include the master bus window, which is here on the far right. The master bus is for audio monitoring, similar to the preview window for your video. Like the video preview, this window allows you to watch your audio levels, or in other words, volume, in real time while you play back your video. Over here on the mid to upper left corner is your Explorer window. This is probably the most diverse window when editing in Vegas because it contains plenty of convenient tabs that will definitely come in handy later. These tabs include Project Media, Explorer, Transitions, Video Effects, Media Generator, and Project Notes. Each of them has their own unique use, so we'll dive into more detail in Lesson 13-3. And now this bottom section here is the timeline window. So the timeline window is where most of your editing will take place, since it shows you the whole project, displaying all of the video and audio tracks so you can easily see where everything is. The timeline window is flexible in the sense that you can add as many video or audio tracks as you want for when you want to layer them on top of one another. More details about tracks and how they work will come in later lessons as well. All of these windows are equally important, and we will touch on them one by one in the following lessons in this unit. It is also important to note that your user interface, meaning these windows and everything else you see, are all fully customizable. They can all be moved around to wherever you like. All you need to do is drag the tab as shown here, out of place, and it will automatically become a separate window, which you can then drag to your desired position. If you'd like, you can hold Control to dock the window back into the Vegas UI so it looks seamless and more organized instead of having a bunch of windows floating all around your desktop. Often, people will have their own preferences, or they'll be used to previous programs that they have used in the past, so they might want to reorganize the windows to suit their habits. For example, if you have used the default Windows Video Editor before, and that is the software you are used to, it doesn't have that window. So you can easily move that tab away to match your personal preferences. One other important thing to note is that Vegas comes with many customization features. Lots of these are specific functions that you can turn on or off to make editing easier. An example here is the Enable Snapping selection. This is basically when you have any two clips of media on your timeline. Dragging them close to each other will cause the beginning of the clip you now have to snap, just like two magnets, and connect seamlessly to your other clip. This also works even if you have a single clip. As you can see, we have nothing on our timeline except for one single clip of B-roll. Notice how the timeline cursor is clicked on a specific place on the timeline. We can now drag the clip of B-roll, and just like with another clip, it will automatically snap to your timeline cursor. This is useful for when you want to set a specific location for the clip to move to, or when you have two clips, ensures that there is no empty space in between them. You can enable or disable this feature to your liking. This is just one of the many features Vegas offers. The main three that we're going to be taking a look at now are these: Customized Toolbar, Customized Timeline Toolbar, and Customized Keyboard. These are important because we're going to be talking about each of them in later lessons. First off, we have the Customized Toolbar setting. This lets you select exactly which buttons you want to appear on your toolbar, as seen here. You can pick and choose to add as many as you want, or if you wanted to, you could even remove them all. Next, we have the Customized Timeline Toolbar setting. This works the same as the previous one. You can select exactly which buttons you want, as well as remove any that you don't use and replace them with more useful ones. Lastly, we have the Customized Keyboard setting. This lets you decide which keys you want to turn into a shortcut and what action it will do. You can do this to help you remember the keys better, or if you were used to a different set of shortcuts from another editing software. But since Vegas already has its own default system, it could get confusing quickly. If you accidentally assign an action to a key that already had a default action, it would unbind the original action and set it to your new one, leaving the original action without a shortcut anymore. To sum it up, this user interface is the default look that Vegas presents you with when you first install and open the software. There's lots of room to make it your own, but the basics will be more than enough to get you started with. We'll be going into much more detail next, so stick around and I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye!